Welcome back. You are listening to another episode of the What's Next podcast. And in this podcast, we're going to teach you how to stay in business longer by not making these common business mistakes. Phil, these are all too familiar to us in our years of grinding through the SME landscape of New Zealand, especially over the last 7 years, building out Next Advisory.
Mistake number one, don't become a business owner.
Oh, high failure rate in business in New Zealand, right?
Huge.
Yeah, not something I think we should celebrate, but something I think more people could avoid it if they knew some of these things that contribute towards it.
A gnarly one to begin with, two actually. First one would be spending it on an accountant.
Spending your money on an accountant?
Yeah, don't do it.
Waste of money.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. The amount of times over the years that we've spoken to early stage business owners, and they might, but it doesn't matter what age they are, but they've got an idea or a really early business, not a huge amount of turnover, that's not really the point, but they see the answer to the unlocking the next step in their business is going and spending a lot of money with an accountant to get some advice. And as I say to them, look, as much as you probably think you want to do this stuff, you don't need to. It's robbing you of money that you can invest in yourself and in your business to help you unlock more revenue. Spending money with an accountant isn't going to help you unlock more revenue.
Oh, sorry, mate. I just had a pain in my stomach. I think, what are those voodoo dolls? Is that what that is?
I think they are. Yeah, is that
the accountants around the country have just stared.
Like this?
Yeah, how dare you? What about the mistakes they'll make from the start? This is disgusting advice, Philip.
Yeah, well, look, that's just telling it like it is since ages ago. That's, what I do. Then the other thing which kind of dovetails off of that would be still with the accountant, but suggesting some real fancy, overly complicated structure that you just don't need.
You need a trust for yourself. You need a trust for the business. You then need a trustee company for both of those. And then you need a holding company that the trust owns, that the trust once owned before the trust owned that didn't actually matter. And then you need your company to do the operating activities, and then a company that owns the assets.
Yes. Yep. And then you've got to go and see my mate who's a lawyer.
But he's a great guy.
Yep.
We were actually going to the rugby together this weekend in his corporate box.
Yeah. Bloody handy. And he'll sort you out with all the lease documents, the trust deeds for the 3 trusts that you don't really need, your wills, all the bits and pieces, and you're thinking, great, this is everything that's going to set me up to help me in business.
Yeah.
Is it going to help you generate $1 of income?
The reason that they call them holdings companies is that accountants have to hold your hand the whole time, and every time they hold your hand, they get to take money out of your pocket.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Come up with that on the spot.
Yeah.
Hang on, is this podcast about abusing other accountants? It's not, What's it about? It's about common mistakes we see in business. But anyway, don't focus on the wrong stuff, like all the layers. Focus on the market. Focus on what do people want, how can I give it to them? And that's when you start to get some speed in business, not off on the tangent looking at a holding company and all this stuff that doesn't add any value to the marketplace.
The other common mistake that we come across is a client will get in touch and they'll be like, hey, Phil, I was just down having a yarn to Bev and we were having a couple of bevies talking about what we're up to, and she reckons that her accountant lets her do this, but are you guys letting me do that? And it's what we affectionately call barroom advice. Don't listen to it. It just creates some friction with the relationship with your accountant, and you're better just to say, hey, look, I'm going through this. These are my circumstances. Is there anything I need to be aware of, or is there anything more you need to know about me to help make sure that we're maximizing all of my tax deductions, that we've got everything structured appropriately, that you can give me the best possible advice and actually pay for it and get value from it.
All right, so the number one way that people probably end up going out of business is running out of money. Now, how do people run out of money?
Spend it on accountants.
They don't know how to price their products well.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to cash flow forecast. And then eventually they can't meet their bills when they become due. And someone says, no, we're going to put your business into liquidation. You are out of here.
The number one reason I reckon for that is tax.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they get their first year of business, they've got a profit, then they've got tax to pay, and then they get a 101 education on the provisional tax system, and their accountant will say to them, hey, look, you've got to pay this in 3 installments, but you don't need to pay that tax from last year for another year. And you're going to end up paying 2 years worth of tax in a very short period of time. And for a lot of businesses that aren't prepared with cash flow planning, can be crippling.
Yeah, because in your first year of business, the IRD don't know how you're going, don't even know that you're trading really, or they're not keeping an eye on it. You've got no obligation to. You file your tax return after the end of the financial year. That then tells them how you went, and you may trigger tax. It's then going to be paid in April of the following year. But then you've got to pay provisional tax based on how profitable you were in that first year. So you really need to understand the tax landscape in that first 3 years, because you might be growing quickly. So therefore you need to understand if you haven't paid enough tax, but you think you've paid enough tax, and that's where speaking to an accountant can stop you from getting those surprises. But also you need to understand about having losses that may then be offset in that second year. But if you don't get a good grasp on that, you are going to get a tax surprise, and that could be where you realize you've sunk the money into something else. It could be your own bank account, or it might be the flash vehicle, and now you get behind on things, and now you're operating from a place of fear and scarcity.
Common mistake number 27 would be worrying about what everybody else thinks.
Nice.
The amount of times that we sit down with clients and they go, oh, I've got this idea, I've got this thought, but I'm not so sure. And it just slows them down taking action. Or the next thing is they overthink it because they're trying to come up with something perfect before going out there and just getting started. And it might be, I've got this thing, but I've got to wait for my website.
Yeah.
I'm off talking to the web developer and we're getting the imagery done and my branding. I've got to make sure the colors that are on point. That could take you a couple of months, because those web developers, some of them are not the greatest. Yeah, surfing. Yeah, just
Surfing the web.
Wow. Well done.
That was lame.
Yeah, no, that was good. Are you sure you're not a dad?
Not sure. Whereabouts?
Anyone from Howard listening? But that's slowing you down from taking action. And all you need to do is make an offer to the market. And it could be as simple as going, well, I've got a list, and we've spoken about this tons of times before. Fire out an email to 100 people. Make an offer. Or you're online, you've got a Facebook page or an Instagram thing, or it even might just be a side hustle, and you've got a reasonably big network of friends. Make an offer.
Yeah.
Go out and say, look, I've crocheted these blimmin' tea cozy things before I get my blimmin' tea cozy website built. Who wants to buy them? Yeah. Let's start and get their cash rolling in, and make sure you're collecting the email addresses so we can retarget those.
Yeah, too many people are building the whole thing before actually going to the market to find out, do you want this? Does the market want this? I think it's a really hard lesson in business, but once you learn it, it makes business so much easier, because I do think we are all hardwired, like emotionally, to be like, no, I know what it wants. Like, I know that everyone wants this. They want this upside down yo-yo that flashes.
Is the overly invested emotional attachment to the things that in reality the market just thinks are not important. And I hate to break it to you, it's not your business name, and it's not the colors of your logo, or even what your logo looks like.
Yeah.
The market doesn't care. It just goes, I want something. Can you solve my problem? Is it at a price point that I see value at? Let's transact.
I reckon what could be responsible for part of this, mate, is that there's now a lot of podcasts where people get interviewed and they brought something that they liked, and then they asked the market, do you want this? And they are the success story of, and then I got 10,000 of them from China and they sold like this. And so then we went 100,000 and we went, whoa. And then the lesson out of that is basically, hey, find something that you liked, and then basically, you solved a problem for yourself, then use that to solve a problem to the market. That's great methodology. However, not everybody finds that thing.
No.
And then we get overly invested in the solution for us, and then we think, well, everybody must want this. And so then we're off and we've ordered heaps of them, and we've got the perfect branding, and we've got is that the right font? We want to have a look at the calligraphy of that. And then we go to the market and we're like, would you like my upside down chair? That's art. No, the fuck. I do not want that. What
Yeah,
the
I'm not
hell?
from Wellington.
And then we get this smack in the face, and then we're shit. What do I do? Do I keep pressing? Do I not? I just want to touch on that inaction piece that you mentioned before, because I had a meeting this morning where they said these 6 little words that we hear way too much over the last 7 years, and they are. I've got that. Maybe it's more than 6, but maybe it's sitting there waiting to go out.
And
And I'm
email?
like, can I? I'm like, did you just say it's sitting there waiting to go out? They're like, yeah. I'm like, it's sitting there waiting to go out. I'm like, those words will be the death of me.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is it not out? Oh, I've just got to, and I'm like,
Insert excuse here.
yeah. Or like, that's the actual thing you need to do. I'm like, well, when are you going to do that? And when is that email going to go out? When is whatever that needs to be done going to happen? But just like you said before, it might be that we've got to wait for the branding to be finished. No one cares about your branding. Oh, we've just got to tidy up the website. I've just realized the other day that we've been sending out this reply to people for so long.
Oh, yeah.
And it's got, this is our business planning template, but in the notes app, it's corrected it to out. I hadn't spotted that, but then I put it into a different tool and it's then spell checked and it's like, hey, maybe that should be our, not out. I'm like, correct. But it's been going out and it's been going out.
Yeah, right.
And we're still doing all right. People are still downloading it. People are still using it. So I think there's this obsession with perfection before we ship everything, but we don't realize that actually we ship it and then we perfect it and improve as we go. And that's what creates success.
Improve as we go. That's what creates success.
Hey, mate, that's called Kaizen, actually. Is it? Constant improvement.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but it sounds a lot nicer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ship it and improve it as you go.
Yeah, nice. That's naughty. Common mistake number 37 out of the top 100 common mistakes that business owners that Next Advisor has seen over the last however many years would be shiny object syndrome.
Oh, man. That's also going to be the death of a lot of businesses.
I really liked, for those of you that didn't attend the how to sell more stuff.
Yeah, increase your sales workshop.
Increase your sales workshop. Shame on you for not doing it. You can buy the download, visit our website. You can pick up a copy of it online or available from all good book resellers.
Or look at nextadvisory.nz. I'll point you in the right direction. Yeah.
There was a great graph that you did in terms of showing progress over time, and that we know that imperfect action over a consistent period, it's going to trend in a general upwards pattern.
Yeah.
And there's going to be some bumps along the way, and provided that we're consistency and then we keep doing what we're doing, we'll get there. But for the person that's, the shiny object, we keep doing what we're doing, it's like, okay, that's great, but it's not my $1 million idea. I haven't hit that magic $1 million. Oh, but I've just seen that there's this object over here. Gee, it looks cool. If I just set up a website for this and I do that and I bring in some of this and I get this person over here, what have we just done? We've just spent time, energy, resources, money, and we've come back down. And then we go, right, let's put in the work. We come up and we're just like, that's not that $1 million idea that I thought it was. Let's go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
And we start again. And that graph is just constantly, and it just flatlines. Whereas the person that's done that consistent imperfect action is just carving their path, doing their thing.
Yep. Refining it.
Yep. Racking and stacking cash, ultimately. Whereas the person's just distracted by that next little shiny object.
Yeah, because I think we don't want to go through, and I think a lot of people call it the valley of despair, and that's where it gets tough and we're uncertain, is this actually going to work? I do think that one of the big issues for people, and it's probably number 57 there I can see, you might have said 57, might be 58, but anyway, it is that people they underestimate the amount of push or energy that it takes or the volume. Now, recently someone said to me, could you have a look over what I'm doing on Instagram, and I'm doing this podcast and stuff. And I was blown away how many followers they had, and the content was really good. And they were like, what do I need to do next? And I said, how long have you been doing this for? And like, about 4 months. And I'm like, sweet. What you need to do next is just 4 years. I'm like, honestly, if you just do this that you're currently doing for 4 years, trust me, good shit will happen to you.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
And I think they were looking for an answer of like, oh, now you need to go onto this platform or do this. And I said to them, but, what are you trying to achieve? Well, it'd be great if I could make a bit of money. And I'm like, well, have you asked anyone to make any money? What do you mean? I said, well, have you gone out to that audience you've built and said, hey, I would like to help you with X, Y, Z. If this is for you, let me know. No, I haven't done that. And I'm like, well, guess what? If you do this for another 4 years, at some stage, you're still going to have to do that. Yes, people will slowly come to you, but you're still going to have to ask. So if that's what you're going to do over time is use this audience to flush out work, start asking and start doing it routinely. Oh, that's a bit scary.
And I think it highlights as well, like just thinking about it now, you see it in either new business owners or early stage business owners that have previously probably come out of an employment type situation. Being an employee, you wouldn't want to mug them off, but it can become mundane and routine. You think, well, I'll change my job and I'll go and work for this other accounting firm and life's going to be better. 6 months later, you're still punishing timesheets and doing shitty sets of rental accounts.
But we call it rental advisory.
Oh, is that the new word, rental advisory?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should do some content on that.
Yeah.
Said no one ever. And then you think, oh man, business looks sexy. Oh, I'll go and be a business owner. I'll go and do all of this. And you become a business owner. And like I've said, when going and buying a business journey, and there's a lot of emotion attached to the transaction and people are looking at it with rose-tinted glasses on, they soon come off and the reality and the mundaneness of being a business owner sinks in, that there are chores and shit tasks that you have to do as a business owner. And that's where you get into that down patch, that valley of despair.
Yeah.
And you go, oh shit, actually this is what it's like. This is now where I need to roll my sleeves up. I need to get that shovel and I just got to keep shoveling. Otherwise I'll be distracted by that shiny object, or just like, oh, this actually isn't so great as what I thought it would be. And then boof, you're another statistic.
I think that over time, especially I think in my generation, and you've probably seen this happen, is that it's been romanticized not to work. And the least work you do, the better. And that's
Celebrate
living. Yeah. And, bloody all this stuff, that's become the
van life.
Yeah. And like as little as possible and whatnot. And so then you get into business for that and for freedom and all this shit. And then you realize like, oh, fuck, this takes a lot of work and you have to grind and you've got to push hard. And, today, just thinking at the office, emptied the dishwasher. And it's just like, that's just what you have to do. We don't have someone who does that. But you just get on with it and you get shit done.
Yeah.
Right through to that level, to replying to people, to chasing leads, to following up leads. And I think the whole world's gone the other way, been like, oh, nah, just do as little as possible and expect the most. But in business, that doesn't work. So if you take that thinking and put that into business, you're just setting yourself up to get absolutely annihilated by not meeting your expectations or not being realistic, and then other people who are willing to do the work being like, see ya, and they're just flying past you. And then you're looking at what they're doing, you're seeing 2 or 3 things of what they're doing. You're like, we need to do that too. That's what they're doing that's working. And you don't realize it's all the shit that you can't see that they're doing that is absolutely torching you.
Number 53 on the top 101 things is comparison.
D for joy.
Oh, man, the amount of business owners that get distracted by comparing themselves to what others are doing, and then you have to sit down and remind them, where are they at on their business journey and where are you at?
Yeah.
They're not only on a different page of a different chapter, they're already onto a different book. Let's just continue focusing on the book that we're writing and block out what they're doing. Otherwise, you're constantly going to be comparing and measuring yourself and working out what success is based on what they're doing, rather than going, shit, my GP's 33%. How can I squeeze this to 37? I'm at 37. Let's get this to 39.
Yeah.
That's starting to get to success because you're comparing yourself to who you were yesterday and getting better and doing it consistently.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there's definitely been a theme recently where some business owners are looking at older business owners and comparing themselves or using that as the yardstick. And I kind of think it should be so easy to spot they got 10 or 20 years on me. That's probably not a good idea.
Think, hey?
Yeah. But instead we're like, oh, they live in that home or they've got that and it's like, yeah, well, good. If you just stay on your path, if that's the shit that you want, you're probably going to get it, but it's going to take time. So I think part of it as well is the lack of patience where we want things faster.
Delayed gratification, you say it a lot.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
it's
tough one.
so hard to do now in this world because everything is easy and fast, and it's conditioned us to think that that's what life is like. But you get into business and it's not.
And speaking of fast, number 69 on the top 101 things that we see are the silver bullet.
Yes.
People just looking for the shortcut.
Yeah.
Or just that little magic thing that's going to get them from year 3 to year 8 by just doing this one thing. Doesn't exist.
Nah.
Not that I'm aware of.
We haven't really, we've seen a lot of people introduce tactics that have moved the needle quite quickly and wow, that's cool. And then they always go away. And, sometimes we recorded a podcast. It was last year, at the start of the year, I think I said, hey, there's a silver bullet here at the moment. There's a tactic. It's promoting your Instagram stories. You're getting an unfair amount of reach and it's cheap and you're going to expose yourself to more people that are watching stories. It's probably going to last 6 months, if that, and people are going to get pissed off of that, seeing randoms in their stories. I'm like, use that for the next 6 months. Not going to solve all your problems. But if you keep jumping from all that stuff, then you're just like the Energizer Bunny trying to find the next thing. And you might forget to build the fundamentals in your business that, again, going back to the person who just goes, nah, instead of jumping from things and doing that for 6 months, you know what? I'm going to do emails and I'm going to do them every week. And I said to a business owner this morning, they were talking about how things quieten down. So then they go out and push real hard. And then things get manic again, so they tidy it all up. But then things get quiet again, so then they go push real hard again. I said, that's cool if you can maintain that. However, what we want to do when we push really hard is spot what's working. Okay, we take what's working and we turn that into a habit. And they said, well, Luke, you'll be stoked to know that I've just batch typed our emails for the next 4 months. They're all scheduled, ready to go. One a week.
I like how you use your fingers to calculate.
Yeah, I was trying to work out how far away that was. But they have taken, they know it's working. They still don't really like doing it, but it works, so they have to do it. So they've created the habit. So then instead of just doing sporadic email blasts, they're like, right, I'm going to sit down for half a day or whatever, and I'm going to create the content. But they also have other things in their business that are popping off at the moment. So that's the shiny object and that's fun. And I said, well, then take those and use those as an ad, for instance. But they're doing so much testing and throwing shit at the wall that they can see what's working and then they can amplify it. I like that.
Nice, mate. And I think silver bullets or shortcuts are not to be confused with efficiency improvements that are going to lead to overall improvements in productivity. And great ones that we've recommended, the use of ChatGPT is just underrated and you use it extensively and have come up with so many different pieces of comms around give it some information, give me an email, give it some information, give me some examples of letters that I can send to chase cash.
Yep.
It's a perfect example. Other examples in business, I'm using paper timesheets or Excel for payroll, and then I'm punching all of that data into Xero to use Xero payroll, which is pretty shit. To then, sorry Xero, but it is. To then do your payroll, where there's products out there that are technologically better and more efficient because they're going to free up your time. Smartly, iPayroll, PayHero, I don't know what the other ones are, but a lot of clients use Smartly. It's a fully outsourced payroll function where they'll take the money out of your account, pay your stuff, pay your tax, file the stuff with the IRD. You don't have to worry about it.
I think a good example to really drive that home for people, mate, is let's say that you are using paper in your business for stuff and you know it's frustrating, but you're not making a change. Think about it like this. You walk in the door and your husband's laying there, they've had a heart attack or something's wrong. Do you stop and go, I might walk down to the payphone that Telecom have got somewhere, and I might ring up the 111 and see if they can come and help me? Absolutely not. You lean straight into technology and you grab the nearest iPhone that someone's created for you.
Android, mate.
Android, and you ring that shit as fast as you can and you say, get down here in your most panicked voice, I need your help.
Yeah.
And everything stops. and you do that and you focus on that one task and you use technology. And that just makes sense. Like everyone would look at you, you would probably be in trouble if you walked away from that situation and you walked down to the payphone. People, if it went out to the public, people would say, what is wrong with that person?
Yeah, there'd be some questions asked about that person as a human.
So, yes, it's an extreme example, but we overlook where we're willing to jump into technology versus where it would also be good for us to use. And if we actually looked at some of these things in our business as mission critical and an emergency and went, I can tidy that up, I can tidy that up, that's going to help me over 5 years, I'm going to suck it up and I'm going to do that on Saturday and it's out of the way and it's done well, man, the progress would be insane.
The easiest hack that a business owner could do, but it would be scary as shit, is on the next day that you're in your office or wherever you go, whatever reams of paper you have, bin them or sell them or give them to somebody, and then that photocopier or printer or scanner that you've got, bin them. List them on Trademan, try and get some cash for them, but go paperless.
Yeah, force yourself to go
Force yourself, and then you've got to implement technology solutions to replace the paper.
Yeah, nice.
Forces your hand. Then you've got nothing. Like, we've done it. What's your excuse?
Oh, the heat.
Yeah.
What else is on the list there, mate?
Mate, this is a line that you roll out quite frequently, and I really rate it. How you show up in life reflects in how you show up in your business.
Oh, yeah.
And just, I don't know whether you've actually said that to anyone to their face, but I know we've talked about it a lot, and I don't know whether we've talked about it much on the podcast before, but the habits and what you do in your personal life and your attitude towards money and relationships and all that kind of stuff will transpose quite quickly and easily to how you look after yourself in business. And you've got a sensational example from a prospective client the other day.
Oh.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah,
Or is it a bit niggly?
Nah, let's do it very quick. Because I've been waiting years to do this very quickly.
It's worth it though.
You know, what frustrates me is Kiwi business owners will reach out to other Kiwi business owners. They know what it's like in business and they waste their time. And I just think that that's disrespectful and it's not smart, but it's just, we sweep it under the carpet. Now, I'm all for not being able to close every lead, and not every lead is for us. But I expect that if I inquire about something, that I will communicate back, whether it's for me or not, and whatnot. And I'll try and close that loop for that business owner. And so I've gotten better at that to hope that then happens for us when people get in touch with us. But basically, someone's in touch years ago, then I never hear from them. Someone's in touch again and they want our help. And it's just kind of, I'm wanting to know, what do you guys do and whatnot. And then I realize, this is the same person. I then send them a proposal. I don't hear anything back. The next, I text them and say, I've sent you the proposal. Let me know if it didn't land, ? No response. I then message them the next day. Hey, did you get that information? Do you need any more information? No response. I then wait a week and I look at what they do in business. And so I message them and say, hey, I need help with XYZ, which I know that they can do. Can you help me? And I don't hear anything. And I think, okay, they do just genuinely hate me. That's fine. A week goes by, they message, yes, certainly can help, Luke. And I'm like, oh, so you do reply.
Yes.
Well, just letting you know, we're going to have to take our proposal off the table, because I know deep down that they are not a 1% business owner like they would like to think they are, or with what they were wanting to inquire. So I know that if we actually work together on what they want to work with, I will get frustrated with them. They won't do the things that I know that they'll need to do, and they'll end up saying to us like, oh, that wasn't that valuable.
That they don't have the standards that you would expect of somebody that is an aspirational business owner.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, and we're lucky now that we've done the hard yards to be choosy about who we take on, and we want to work with people that we know our advice will change their life if they listen to it. Now, that person, the advice probably could, but will they do it? The warning signs and red flags for me are no, they won't do it, because of the way they're currently treating people who they would like to be their suppliers. So if that's the way you treat your suppliers, then you have to accept that you're going to be part of your own downfall with the way that you interact with your customers as well.
And that leads on to the other really good thing is that in your personal life, if you're one to go and shop around and haggle and just look for a deal and just muck people around, chances are you're going to have that behavior in your business. And if you're focused on like cheap and cheerful and doing stuff like that, then is that how your customers are going to perceive your business?
Yeah.
And are they going to see value? Because you just certainly don't see value because you're just trying to out there hunt the next deal or just try and go, oh yeah, I got one over this person because I've saved, managed to save 15%, but really in the scheme of things, does it matter?
Yeah.
And is it that important because we're just chasing something so small when we're not focusing on something much bigger? And as you've said in the before, get bigger problems.
Yeah, I love the old solve bigger problems. I saw something the other day. It's like you don't get what you want, you get what you tolerate. And I think a lot of business owners in New Zealand, they tolerate too much shit.
Yes.
And if they tolerated less shit, they'd have more time to spend on the shit that actually matters in their business.
And it's because they're not brave enough to say no.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what we do on a consistent basis with some of the lead inquiry that we get. We're fortunate that we've done a stack load of work in the past. This podcast, classic example, hundreds of episodes over years.
Yeah.
That we've put out a lot of content that we get consistent inquiry and we can go, no, knowing that there's other business owners out there that, yes, one will come along that shows that they're demonstrating what you'd look for in an aspirational business owner. You go, yep, I'm prepared to invest my time to help them because I know that they're going to invest their time to help themselves.
I feel like we could do another hour on this and we might have to do a part 2, but my final one, mate, would be that you have to take your partner on the journey. Now, whether that be your business partner or your own partner in your individual life. And why I lead into that and finish with that is because mine's waiting outside.
Is your phone go bzz, bzz, bzz.
And if I don't get out of here shortly, I might not have a partner and then I'll be able to do way more business. So
mate, that is a great segue to finish up on, but I think a very, very wise one. Maybe we should get the ladies on the pod at some stage.
Yeah.
And because we haven't had a guest interview for a while.
Yeah.
And that could be quite...
that would be fun and dangerous. Yeah.
We could probably leading more to a little bit dangerous.
Yeah. We could record it and then be like, oh yeah, it's in the back catalogue. We haven't put it out yet. We'll
something to think about. But hey, we hope you've listened to this and got a few of the top tips. And as Luke says, there are a stack load of mistakes that we've seen business owners do over the years. And it's just, I think, from not focusing on the right things.
Yeah, and we have put so much content together now over the years. When you think about it, mate, like we've spotted, okay, people don't have a plan. Great, let's help people do planning. People don't know their numbers. Okay, great, let's help teach people how to understand their numbers. Great, we've solved that. Oh, people are struggling with money individually. Okay, let's show them how money from individual sense ends up in their business as well. Let's get them thinking about those two together because they are part of their business. Okay, we solved that, but all right, what else is there? Oh, pricing. Okay, then it's,
we'll teach you how to sell because we've sold over $5 million worth of services. So we must be doing something right.
Yeah. And so we've put together pillars of information that we think will stop people, will decrease the likelihood that they will go under. And the main thing that will mean that it doesn't matter, whatever we do, is if people don't take action. Now that is, I think, the key, is that the successful clients and business owners that we work with, we're always like, they're going to do well. And how do we know? Because they take a shitload of action. Whether we catch up with them monthly, quarterly, weekly, speak to them every 6 months, they can list off all the stuff that they've done and they've got a note of it and they can look back and go like, here's all the stuff that I've done. And we basically go like, oh, we can see the road that they're on and where they're going to get to. And that's pretty cool because then we can start getting a front of that and go down the road further and be like, hey, heads up, here's what you're going to run into. Here's what you might run into. Here's what you might encounter. Here's what a client that did the same path they bumped into. Be mindful of this tax, for instance. And they have that knowledge faster. So reach out and get help from people so that you can preempt the things that you're going to have to think about. And then you'll actually be able to take action ahead of it being an issue. So you're proactive rather than reactive.
Nice, mate. Well, I guess that brings us to the end of part 1 of 101 reasons or common business mistakes that we see. So I think there might be an episode 2, 3, 4, and 5 until we get to 101.
Bring it on.